James Carter TV here to release my mid-season predictions and projections for the 2015-16 NFL season. Now, for those of you that have been sticking with me since the beginning of this season, you know that I released win-loss predictions for each and every team. I also released a video with those win-loss predictions updated, as well as my award predictions, my playoff predictions, and my Super Bowl predictions. Now, those predictions I had in preseason, I've scrapped them. I've said, you know what, to hell with them. They're still there. You can still watch the video, but sometimes you need to update things. You need to project things. We've seen halfway through the NFL season, or I guess kind of half of the NFL season. Let's update our predictions and our projections. So all of this info is down in the description box. Absorb it as you may. But really quick, let me explain something. So for the win-loss predictions that have been updated, you will see, because I'll own up to what the hell I predicted. I'll own up to it, shit. So, on the left is what I predicted preseason, and on the right is what I'm currently projecting. So, for example, the New England Patriots. Preseason, on the left, you'll see I predicted them to be 12-4, and on the right, you will see my projection as of this moment is 14-2. And by the way, I went to each and every single one of these NFL teams. I predicted, very arbitrarily, but I predicted the result of each and every game for the rest of the season. Now, I'm probably going to be wrong on a lot of these still, even with the advantage that I now have. But hey, you have to do it some way. So I looked at just mainly the toughness of the schedules, and then just round-balled and estimated what the schedule would be. Now, this is still mathematically sound. I've still handed out 256 wins and 256 losses. That way, this is mathematically sound. So that is still part of the equation. So, sorry, I can't just project everyone to do well. And you have to keep in mind, everyone believes that they're going to do better in the second half of the season than they did in the first. Everyone believes this. But really, that's just not the case. Sometimes, if you're like the San Diego Chargers and you've been disappointing up to this point, you believe that, yeah, we're going to turn around. Sometimes you just don't. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, they thought they were going to turn around. They were 2-6 at the midway point. They lost 8 straight games. The Tennessee Titans were 2-6. They lost 8 straight games. Sometimes you're just as bad as your record says you are. Sometimes you're even worse. Sometimes the second half of the season goes even worse than you could have expected. So keep that in mind when I'm predicting and projecting how these teams are going to do. So, I'm not going to talk about each and every team, but actually, you know what? Sure, why not? But I'll do it really quickly. So the Patriots, I've upped them 2 wins. They look really dominant, but they won't be 16-0. The Miami Dolphins, I have them currently finishing 7-9. They'll get some wins here or there, but they're still not good enough to make the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills, preseason, I had them being 7-9. I have them being 8-8. They'll get some more wins with Tyrod Taylor back in the mix, but they're still in a very difficult division, and I don't see them making the playoffs in 2015. The New York Jets, I have them being 10-6. They've currently lost 3 games, I believe, or maybe it's 2. I think it's 3. It should be 3. Now they've lost to the Raiders. It's going to be close, but their schedule looks pretty decent from here on out. I think they can go 10-6. The Baltimore Ravens, they started off poorly, but this is one of the few teams I do believe, and I actually buy into the fact that they can do better. Sorry. That they can do better in this second half. I see them being 500 and finishing 6-10. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. I have them being 13-3. Yes, they're 7-0 right now. I see some difficult games down the schedule. I think they lose to Pittsburgh in Cincinnati, and I have them finishing 13-3. The Cleveland Browns, I have them being 4-12. Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-6. Their schedule looks pretty decent, and I think they're really going to get on a roll. Underrated thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers, their defense is playing really good. They're 5th in the NFL in points allowed. So, once you add Ben Roethlisberger back to the mix, if that offense can get rolling without Le'Veon Bell, they will be winning games consistently. I guarantee you of that. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts finishing 7-9, winning their division. I still don't see anyone that can take this division from the Indianapolis Colts. Keep an eye out for the Jaguars so they can actually learn how to win football games. And keep an eye out for the Ken Wisenhunt-less Tennessee Titans, who I have finishing 4-12, by the way. The Houston Texans, I have finishing 4-12. I only see one more win on their entire schedule. Things are about to get real bad in Houston if they haven't been bad enough already. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars finishing 5-11. Yeah, they finished, 2-5 up to this point. They're playing, they're going to New York this week, I believe, against possibly Geno Smith. They could win that. I mean, I'll give them that, but I still don't see enough wins from this team. Next, we have the Denver Broncos, who have finishing 13-3. Yes, they're 7-0 up to this point, but I see some losses on the horizon. We have the Kansas City Chiefs. They're finishing 7-9. I think they'll do better in the second half than they did in the first, just because Andy Reid is still a really good head coach. Next, we have the San Diego Chargers. I think you're pretty much going to do more of the same, finishing 3-5 this season to round out a 5-11 schedule. I think this is just a down year for you guys. Next, we have the Oakland Raiders. They're finishing 8-8. They're going to Pittsburgh this week. I think they're going to lose that. They're going to be 4-4 at their midway point, and they'll go 4-4 throughout the rest of it. But the playoffs are approaching in 2016, not 2015 for me. Next, we have the NFC. We have the Dallas Cowboys finishing 8-8. I think they're probably going to be about around this range. It really depends how dominant they will be once Tony Romo comes back, but I'm not going to get rid of the Dallas Cowboys yet. I still have them winning the NFC East. Next, you have the New York Giants finishing 7-9. I think their schedule's difficult coming up. I really have a hard time finding wins in this schedule. This week, if they don't win, they're in big trouble because they have the Patriots coming up. They have the Redskins at the Redskins coming up. You may say that's not hard. Hey, the Redskins have been beating people this year. They have some difficult games coming up, like at the Vikings. They host the Panthers. These are difficult games. I only have them winning 3 more games the rest of the season. We have the Washington Redskins. This team will continue to scrape and claw their way to 7 wins. I believe this entirely and completely. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them finishing 8-8. I really don't know what to think about this Eagles team. They're so inconsistent from week to week. If I had to pick a team that's second most likely to win the NFC East, it would be this team. But I'm still picking the Cowboys because I think the Cowboys will sweep the Eagles, and that will be the tiebreaker. All right, NFC North. We have the Green Bay Packers finishing 13-3. Not much to say here. Chicago Bears, I think they're going to scrap their way to 6 wins. Detroit Lions, I see only 2 more wins on your schedule, maybe only 1. You guys are just a dumpster fire this year. I'm sorry, but you need to already accept that if you haven't already. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings finishing 9-7. They will be 6-2 after this week. But I want you to do this. I want you to pull up the Minnesota Vikings schedule. I want you to look at it. And if you're not a Vikings fan, you will see this is a very, very difficult schedule they have coming up. Allow me to pull it up really quick for you. So they have to face the Packers twice. Once they're hosting the Packers November 22nd, and they could win that, but those are difficult games. They have to go to the Raiders. Hosting the Rams isn't very easy either. They have to go to the Falcons. They have to host the Seahawks. They have to go to Arizona. These are winning teams. All of the teams I mentioned so far are winning teams. That's about 6 games. And then you host the Bears and you host the Giants. Those are your 2 easiest games for the rest of the season. I think the Vikings are going to lose some games in the second half of the season. All right, next we have the Atlanta Falcons, who are finishing 11-5. Possibly 12-4, but I feel comfortable with this 11-5 projection. Next, we have the New Orleans Saints. They're about to get on a roll. Their schedule looks pretty easy from here on out. I really like the way Drew Brees is playing at an elite level once again. Give me the Saints to roll to the playoffs. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have them being 6-10. This is one of the few projections that I'm keeping exactly. I still have them going 6-10. They may go 7-9. I don't think they're going to be lower than 6-10. I think that's their absolute floor. I just couldn't go higher, but I could see 7 or at max 8. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. Who I had 6-10. This is the team I was absolutely wrong on. So if you want to yell at me and cry at me, you can do that. I will accept that. Sometimes you can't be perfect when doing this. You can't. If you were able to predict these records exactly, please talk to me because you should be replacing me. Anyway, they're finishing 13-3. All right, NFC West. We have the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're about to get on a roll. Think about the Seahawks, guys. Okay, they lost to the Rams. That's their worst loss, but it was in St. Louis. Besides that, they lost to a 7-0 Bengals team, a 7-1 or 6-1 Packers team, and they lost to a 7-0 Panthers team. Those are good teams, and their schedule is still difficult, but manageable. They're about to get on a roll, although I have them missing the playoffs. Woo! All right, next we have the San Francisco 49ers. I wanted to believe that their roster was good enough, and I think it is. I think the coaching is horrible. I think Colin Kaepernick is bad, and that'll be the difference. I've been finishing 3-13. I only see 1 more win on the schedule. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals. I have them finishing 11-5, possibly 10-6. It'll be interesting to see how the Seahawks-Cardinals games match up. I think it's going to be a split, but if either one of these teams can sweep, they will definitely be winning this division. But I think it's going to be a split. And then finally, we have the St. Louis Rams, who I have finishing 8-8. Nothing noteworthy here. Jeff Fisher does Jeff Fisher things once again and finishes 8-8. So, here are my playoff projections right now. In the AFC, the Patriots first seed, and I'm going to go in descending order. Broncos, Bengals, Colts, Broncos and Bengals, by the way, it's all going to depend on their head-to-head matchup in December, so I don't know who's going to win that, but right now the Broncos winning that. Colts 4, Jets, Steelers. Those are your 6 teams in the AFC. And then the NFC, Packers, Panthers, Cardinals, Dallas Cowboys, although I'm really not comfortable with this one, Atlanta Falcons, and New Orleans Saints. So 3 NFC South teams make the playoffs. All right, let's go to my playoff projections, midseason playoff projections. So round 1 in the AFC, we have the number 5 New York Jets going to the number 4 Indianapolis Colts. The Jets, who knows, will be starting at quarterback at this time, but they're just a better team than the Colts, as they showed in their game earlier on this season, so I have them winning this matchup. Number 6, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I need to tell you guys, there's a beast lurking in the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they can make the playoffs like I project them to, and as I said earlier, their defense is actually playing really well, this is your Super Bowl dark horse. Look out for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a Super Bowl dark horse. When we came into this year, I was really considering picking the Steelers to win it all. I thought that, hey, they made some improvements defensively. Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown are one hell of a trio. They can win it all. And I still believe that even without Le'Veon Bell, because DeAndre Williams has shown an ability to play well in relief of Le'Veon Bell. This is a sleeping giant. And as they go to Cincinnati, whereas Cincinnati has had trouble winning playoff games, I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm picking the Bengals to lose yet another playoff game as the Bengals go to Cincinnati and pull out a victory. Now, this all depends on whether or not Cincinnati is even the 3rd seed, because they could be the 2nd seed, they could have a bye week, and we won't even be having this discussion. But I'm picking the Steelers to go up there and win. I really am. All right, next we have the divisional round. The Broncos go to Denver. They lose. This should be no surprise. Although it'd be nice to see the Jets in another AFC championship, but they're not Super Bowl contenders. I mean, forget it. All right, then we have the Steelers at the New England Patriots. Again, this is a sleeping giant. Now, I had to stop here. I calmed myself down. I said, well, the Patriots are really good. But, and mainly, I'm not even sure the Steelers are going to make the playoffs. I think they will. I'm not sure of it. So I don't want to go too out on a limb yet. But if this matchup happens, if this matchup actually happens, you'll see me in January picking the Steelers. You will. But for now, the safer thing is to pick the Patriots, just because I'm not sure the Steelers will make it to this point. But again, if we revisit this in January, I might have a different prediction here. All right, and then we have the AFC Championship, the Denver Broncos at the New England Patriots. I understand that people believe the Patriots they're so great, they're so good. I think the Broncos are the team to go to the Super Bowl this year. I had this preseason. I'm having it now. I think Peyton Manning has his final finale, hurrah, whatever, in the Super Bowl. Now, I think it's going to be a loss, but I think it's going to be in the Super Bowl. Damn it. All right, finally, the NFC. Atlanta Falcons at the New York Giants. The Falcons winning that. Well, it's not the New York Giants. At the Dallas Cowboys. Excuse me. The Dallas Cowboys winning that game. Although it will be close. And the Falcons, they may win that game. Because even though the Cowboys will have been rolling at this point, the Falcons have shown, they've shown an ability to disappoint in the playoffs. But I think Dan Quinn can bring a different a different presence than Mike Smith did, and they can win in the playoffs. But I have the Cowboys winning this one. All right, we have the 6th seed New Orleans Saints, who I have making the playoffs, at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, it's going to be between the Saints, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. I think the Vikings' schedule is too difficult, although they do have the record advantage. And I think the Seahawks' schedule is also a little bit too difficult, while the Saints have the easiest schedule, and they are rolling. Right now, they're rolling. So I'm picking the Saints to make the playoffs. But at Arizona, I have Arizona winning that one. So next, we have the 4th seed Dallas Cowboys going to Green Bay yet again. But this time, yet again, I have the Packers winning, not in controversial fashion, but just because they're the better team. And then we have the 3rd seed Arizona Cardinals at the Carolina Panthers. I have the Carolina Panthers losing this one in Carolina to Arizona. I think Arizona versus Green Bay is your NFC Championship game, and I have Green Bay winning that one. And finally, Super Bowl 50, I have Green Bay winning that one, winning the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers adding yet another Super Bowl to his collection. I think this is still the storyline. I understand that the Packers disappointed a couple of nights ago. I don't care. This is my pick preseason. I picked the Packers to lose Sunday, and I'm telling you, they're gonna win the Super Bowl. So with that said, let's move on to the awards. All right, so these are also down in the description box that I had before as well. But now, I mean, the only thing I'm going to get right, I'm going to get Coach of the Year. That's it. That's the only award I'm going to get right. And some of the coaches I had fired at the end of the year will still be fired. So we'll get into that as well. So, MVP is Tom Brady. He's been playing absolutely great. He's going to win the damn award. Quite possibly the best quarterback season of all time, by the way. Sorry about that. Offensive Player of the Year, I have Julio Jones. You know, they're not going to give it to Tom Brady since he won the MVP, so who they're going to give it to, I don't know. I'd like to see Phillip Rivers in this debate. He might break the damn passing record, but I like Julio Jones right now. All right, Defensive Player of the Year. Right now, it looks like Josh Norman, although he's going to have a hard time keeping up statistically because now quarterbacks just are not throwing his way, so he's not going to be able to get the interceptions he was getting at the beginning of the season. I'm seeing Charles Woodson getting some recognition and consideration here, and Aaron Donald. Yeah, I'm not buying those. I think right now Josh Norman has the best opportunity, best chance. Offensive Rookie of the Year, give me running back Todd Gurley of the St. Louis Rams. He's been playing absolutely great, and he's been leading that team. Without him, they're a 3-win football team, as I had them winning 4 games before the season because I didn't expect him to be this good. Next, we have the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Give me Ronald Darby, who's been playing really well for the Buffalo Bills. Keep an eye out for Haloi Kikaha and for anyone else. Vic Beasley, if he can actually start getting sacks, although that doesn't look very likely. Henry Anderson has been playing well for the Indianapolis Colts. That's pretty much it. All right, next we have the Comeback Player of the Year, running back Chris Johnson, who's been playing really well for the Arizona Cardinals. This guy had a bullet wound at home, and now he's playing really well for the Cardinals this season. Coach of the Year, I had this preseason. This is the one thing I had of these awards. Dan Quinn, Atlanta Falcons. When you bring a team from where they were last year to the playoffs, you'll win the damn award. All right. Although maybe I think if anyone should get the consideration, it should be not Marvin Lewis, but Hugh Jackson, really as an assistant coach. He's definitely the assistant coach of the year, but maybe he should just win coach of the year because what he's doing with that Bengals offense is really, really impressive. All right. So coach is fired at the beginning of the year. Some of these are still here. Jeff Fisher, I think, is done. I think 8-8 won't be good enough because they're sick of it as they should be. Tom Coughlin, I still think is done. Chuck Pagano, I still think is done. Now, this is where things get different. Ken Wisenhunt, I had him written down. I actually made this on Sunday. He's already fired, so I'm already right there. Mike McCoy, this is something I'm really on the edge on. I don't know what the actual San Diegoans, like whoever is in control there, are actually thinking. Right now, he's disappointing. I wouldn't fire him. I think right now it's really on Tom Telesco, the general manager for the San Diego Chargers, who has failed to build a good defense for years now, and they're seeing what's the word I'm looking for? The results of that. So with that said, though, I think he's in trouble, and I think he's on the hot seat. Next, we have Mike Pettin of the Cleveland Browns. I don't think he can survive a 4-12 season in Cleveland. I don't think anyone could survive a 4-12 campaign in Cleveland. Cleveland just likes to, if you disappoint one year, see ya. That's their strategy. So, see ya. And wow, I have a lot of coaches getting fired, by the way. Next, I have Jim Tom Sula of the San Francisco 49ers. Yet another team where going 3-13 isn't going to cut it. you're in trouble there, especially when your defense, the defense that you pride yourself on, hasn't been playing very well either. Yeah, I say bye to Jim Tom Sula, and finally Jim Caldwell, who I think will be fired by probably week 11, maybe next week. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, who knows? So really, how many coaches that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus Joe Philbin, who was fired. 9 coaches that were fired in 2015. Yikes. All right, so finally, with the first pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, you watched my mock draft the other day. The Detroit Lions taking Laramie Tunsil, and this is what I have to close out these mid-season projections. So there you are. Go down in the comments, yell at me, criticize me. It's fine. And, I get it. Bring it on. But keep this in mind. It's very difficult to predict the records for each and every team in the NFL. This is a difficult thing to do. And I want you to do this. I want you to gander across the NFL and look at the other experts, CBS Sports, ESPN, what have you. And you'll find that I was more accurate than a lot of them. Just something you should consider. All right, guys. Until next time, James Carter TV. I'm out. Peace.